Alright, you pain in the ass is asking for a video. You got one. You got one. Talk about the debacle last night in Phoenix. First of all, let's talk about why I was not giddy at all after beating the Knicks, beating Orlando. I wasn't happy about being 4-2. And you shouldn't have been either if you're a Net fan, because you played not one quality opponent. Not one. Now, you're going to lose games in the NBA to teams that are not as good as you. So I figured let's have one hiccup and go 5-1 to start the season. I thought it could be one of the home games, but I thought, once we lost to Boston, which I felt very confident that we would lose to Boston, and the reason being is their backcourt is extremely suffocating defensively, especially when Rondo did not start. Those two guards, Smart, Bradley, are terrific defenders, and they squashed D-Nill. Now, this was before D-Nill went on his run. I know, shouldn't be calling him that, but he's got 3 years of being D-Nill and 4 games, maybe 5, of being D-Will. So to me, he's still D-Nill, because we saw flashes of it again last night. Oh, yes, we did. So to go 4-2, especially the way you lose that Minnesota game, put me in a shitty mood, because I knew exactly what we're up against coming on this trip. And if you were giddy and tweeting and getting yourself excited because they were up 19 in the first half, you're basically an idiot. Then you have never watched any of the recent Net games. Yes, it's a new coach, but it's the exact same team. Now, first of all, every NBA team at home makes a run. So it's almost a curse to be up by that much in the first half. And I knew, unless it stretched in the high 20s, that at one point Phoenix will take a lead. So I 100% was prepared for that to happen. And then I thought, you know what? Let's see how it goes. They've got offensive-minded guys, not always taking the best shots. Gerald Green, who's a gifted, athletic monster. We saw him take a 3 with 20 seconds to go on a shot clock. Bledsoe tends to be a little over-offensive, if that's such a phrase. But in other words, late in the game, I'm figuring Joe Johnson, Garnett. I'm figuring Lopez. How could they have a guy to stop Lopez? The renewed Darren Williams, rejuvenated Darren Williams. So I'm thinking close game late, edge, Brooklyn, even though we're on the road. And I couldn't be further from reality. Now listen, I see a lot of people killing Joe Johnson. All right, Joe was a little strange. His talk was a little strange. Out of character for him. He's a quiet dude. I think I would have not used the word selfish if I was talking. I would have just said, look, we ain't playing well. Because when you say the word selfish, you're basically calling out somebody for not playing team-orientated. I don't know if that was the case in the first 6 games. I just think that they did not play well in many of the first 6 games. I thought they played very well in Detroit. Obviously, OKC, playing a D-League team, played well against the Knicks, but did not play well against Minnesota, and did not play well against Orlando. And I thought he was correct in assessing that the Orlando game was a carbon copy of Minnesota, with the exception of we closed it out. And the common denominator, and we're going to get into this, was there was no Brook Shields on the court late against Orlando. And there was in Minnesota. Pekovic's toy 4 nights earlier was not Vukovic's toy later on. So as we progressed, I'm not killing Joe Johnson. I know he had a bad day, and he did. He played poorly. He did not make shots down the stretch. His numbers were bad. He was 7 for 16. Obviously, that's not what we expect from him. And in the fourth quarter, I don't know his official statistics, but I know he missed several shots, and of course he had the big turnover, his only turnover. But again, he has some rights with me. He's developed some equity with me. To have a bad night, I've killed him plenty this first 2 years. Late last season and in the postseason last year, I basically said, you know what? This guy has elevated to a status that he deserves some slack for what he did in Toronto, what he did against Miami. He gets a break. Now, he doesn't get a break from me calling him out. He had a terrible game. And, of course, his timing for what he said was bad. But listen, the real reason why this team lost the game it was collective, awful effort. So let's call it that. Everyone played poorly, but particularly on a night when Phoenix's point guards, Bledsoe and Isaiah Thomas, would turn the ball over 10 times. And I mean some really ugly turnovers by Bledsoe. You would think that our point guards would take advantage. Didn't happen. I was a big fan of Jared Jack, and I still am. I got a feeling that if he's as bad as he was last year in Cleveland, then we're going to be in trouble. I'm banking on him being the Golden State Jared Jack. But right now, he has been absolutely terrible. He turned the ball over 5 times in 24 minutes. 5 times, 3 assists. I mean, terrible. He had a -11 ratio while he was on the court. He was extremely bad. Took a bad shot, bad three-pointer late, I thought. Took a questionable pull-up jumper, and he made it with plenty of time on a shot clock. I don't know if you caught it, but Donnie Marshall was like, ooh, as he was pulling up. He's like, ooh, and he made the shot. So obviously the result is what matters, right? But Jared Jack's been awful. He has not played well. I think he played well in 1 game so far. If he doesn't step up his game, then we're going to have problems. Darren Williams was bad. You want to say, well, he's 5 for 10. You always pick. No, Darren Williams was bad. He's turned the ball over 5 times. He had 5 assists, 5 turnovers. That's bad. I know he was the player of the week. I kind of, listen, give him his due. He's played well. But for all of you D-Will is back fans, let's just chill out. Okay? We haven't seen him turn an ankle yet. We haven't seen him bruise a hip or bang a knee or turn his wrist. You know that's coming. And when that comes, let's see what happens. Because Darren Williams has made his career is now. He has the perfect career right now. He is set up to use an injury as an excuse for the rest of his career. It's set up. He has done it so far in his first 4 years with the Nets. And based on his play of recent, where he looks a little more spry and athletic, so everyone's going, oh, okay, so it is injury. So anytime he gets any type of injury, which is going to happen, he's set up to say, well, everything was good, but now this. So I'm not sold on D-Will being back. All right? And he was awful in this game, folks. He was terrible. Not only with the basketball, but he was torched offensively. How about 0.3 on the clock? 0.3 on the clock on an inbound under the basket, and he lets Bledsoe go free for a tip. I thought that was a critical play in the game. I thought that was a really big play in the basketball game, and that's, we've been used to seeing D-Will have defensive lapses. He was pathetic last night. Now, listen, our biggest problem, and it looks like this is going to be a problem all year long, is number 11. Brook Shields really looks like he is just not at speed to play in the NBA. Now, I know injuries, coming back rusty, and I know I got a good buddy of mine who believes that he's so critical to them. I am of the opposite opinion. I am of the opinion that they're a better team without him. Now, here's what drives you crazy about him. There's a 5-minute stretch in the second quarter where he looks like Moses Malone. offensively. Offensively. You know, he makes a couple of those. He makes that up and under reverse. He attacks. I mean, really, there are not many defensive centers in the league that can handle him. But here's the problem, folks. The rest of the shit that comes with him, it's just, to me, isn't worth it. Watching him late to a pick and roll, watching him go up where 5'11" guards make layups on him, watching him not make a block shot after block shot on a fast break where he's back and the smaller guy goes up and just right over him. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't catch. How about entry passes that just slip his hands? How about the play in the fourth quarter where he was wide open, he's going up with both hands, and the ball leaves his hands as it gets to his chest. He is soft. He is slow. He is unathletic, and I really believe he's mentally slow. I know I don't have any basis to say that, but he just looks like he's, in a different grade level mentally when it comes to the NBA game. It looks like everything is just faster than him. I believe that Hollins hates him. Of course, he's not going to admit that. You're not going to admit that you're max center that you can't stand. But you think about it. If you're Hollins, if you're used to Marc Gasol, you remember the matchups that Gasol had against Brook Shields, how he would, very similar to what Pekovic and Vukovic did. Gasol would just fling him like he was a feather. This is what Hollins is used to in the middle. And then you got Zach Randolph that, you could make a case, Garnett, Randolph, similar toughness. Of course, Randolph's a lot younger, but you could make a case that those two are parallel to Hollins. And then you got Lopez and Gasol. He's got to be scratching his head going, what the fuck? What do I got here? I got a guy who, and we've seen it in New Jersey and Brooklyn, so we know. We've seen a guy that is a first ballot Hall of Fame first half player and is a non-existent, softest tissue, can't move, can't finish. By the way, our bigs, Mason Plumlee's guilty of this too. Mason, you got to finish, man. You got to be able to get the ball up and in the basket. You're not making free throws, so getting fouled is, normally it's great if you get fouled if you shoot 70%, but if you're shooting 50, you've got to finish at the rim, and we don't. Our bigs don't. That's why I'm going to tell you, I might sound idiotic. I think that this team is better with Jerome Jordan playing more minutes in the middle. That guy's got some toughness. He's got a little athleticism. He's not going to be bullied like Brook is. He's going to, when he gets to the rim, it's going to go in. We got to see more minutes from him, in my opinion. I think this Lopez thing, I know it's early, it's only 7 games, and those 5 minutes that you saw him look amazing in the first half, that makes you want to hold on. It's that, the pretty girl with the curl, you just don't want to let her go. To me, I just don't think I think they're a better team when he is not on the floor. So I believed, listen, in the offseason, you couldn't trade him because he was hurt. Who's going to take him? But man, if you can convince some other team that maybe the answer is a new location. Maybe you can convince a team that New York is too big of a spotlight for him. Get him out. I'm telling you. You think I'm nuts? Get him out. Get whatever you can. And listen, when you've played small a couple times already, and you've been more effective. I know what he gives you offensively, and this is what you're going to argue with me. The best offensive center in the game, which I no longer believe is true. You're talking about a guy with 3. He was already slow, already kind of dopey, already kind of late and lazy, and now he's got 3 surgeries on his feet. So what does that make him? Quicker? I don't think it is. I don't think it's the case where the surgery on D-Will has made him, has made him a little more spry. I don't think that's the case with Brook. I think he looks slower than he has. He looks even less athletic than he has. And to me, he's always been soft, and that's not changing. You're not going to be tough. The guy is a disaster. I don't believe that we are going anywhere if this guy continues to dominate minutes. Now, he's going to have his nights, so this is where I'm going to look like a fool. He's going to have his 22. He's never going to have 10 rebounds. But that's the other argument I'll make. Do we want a guy who can't grab a rebound in traffic? Do we want a guy who cannot, on a pick and roll, who cannot block a shot from a 6'2" point guard? Who beats the defender on a high screen and comes up? Do we want? I don't think you do. And Plumlee is not getting it done either. Plumlee's not putting the ball in the basket. Got to the free throw line 4 times, made 1. I mean, that's not cutting it. So that's my opinion. Karolinko came in. I was actually happy. Came in for 4 minutes, and that was it. I don't know. I don't get that. To me, I know he's a lot smaller, but I'd rather see him get more minutes. If you're not going to play Jordan, I'd rather see Karolinko get more time than Lopez. I thought Garnett was effective. I thought he played well. He shot the ball well. He grabbed 10 boards. I mean, 12 and 10 from Garnett. I mean, you sign up any day. It's a missed opportunity. Bogdanovich didn't shoot the ball well. I thought he made a huge 3 at the end of the third. I thought that was a killer basket. But you blew an opportunity. You blew an opportunity to steal one of these games on the road. You're not winning tonight. I don't care how well you play. You're not winning tonight. So you're 0-2. Now you're looking at trying to steal a game in a place. I can't remember the last time you won in Portland. It was probably Chuck Daly days. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But no, you blew it. And same shit, man. It's the same shit we've seen in the last 3. New coach, but the same core players are the same. We get leads. We do not close. And we've been a team that has lost inexcusable games at home. We've already got 1 inexcusable loss at home with Minnesota. And now we've got 1 very difficult, explainable loss with a big lead on the road in Phoenix. This is what we do. And then we end up in the end of the season and we go, wow, if we won 1 or 2 or 3 more games, we could be a 3 seed. Remember last year? Right? Could have been a 3 if you won 1 or 2. That's how it's going to be. This is the same group of guys, different coach. You were hoping a different philosophy, but so far, after 7 games, we've already seen the trend that we've seen in the past. Some ridiculous loss at home, a big lead on the road blown, and our big guy, softer than pudding, and Darren Williams capable of being extremely awful. You're talking about a superstar, $98 million player, was absolutely awful last night. And unfortunately, his backup has been awful almost every night. So we got some issues. Need to work them out. I want to see Jordan. Other than that, you got your video. Now leave me alone.